Hello and welcome to this episode on tapping into the Magdalene energy for multidimensional manifesting. We are going to dive into two of my favorite subjects, which is how to partner with Source, with the guides, in particular, the Magdalenes and the Magdalene energy, and also manifesting. How is it that we actualize our deepest desires on the physical plane? And not only hit or miss manifestation, yet consistent, predictable manifestation without the old paradigm ways of overworking, forcing, or struggling, really leaving you exhausted or having what it is that you desire, and yet at a really high cost. So let's start with multidimensional manifesting. What do I mean by multidimensional manifesting? Well, there are two aspects I want to go deeper into in terms of the word multidimensional. One is that you are a multidimensional being. If you're here, this is probably not news to you, yet to just deepen into that, you are, of course, your body, your mind, your emotions, and you also have a higher self. You are, as the guides often say, a light being, a love being, a divine being in form. And so you are multidimensional. You have your energy bodies. You can be communicating as well, multidimensionally across time and space. So the first aspect of multidimensional manifesting is that you are a multidimensional being. So you have a lot of tools, and this is kind of the first paradigm shift and takeaway, a pro tip of multidimensional manifesting is that you have a lot of energy tools at your disposal to be actualizing more in the physical plane, to really be leveraging your multidimensionality, your energy, your frequency, your vibration, your divine self. Now, the second aspect about multidimensional manifesting that I want to underscore is that you're not manifesting in a vacuum. And what the Magdalenes often talk about is this multidimensional abundance. And so, multidimensional manifesting is where you are manifesting in simultaneously in multiple areas of your life, because abundance is multidimensional. There are different aspects to abundance. So you have your radiant health or your radiant energy, your body. That's one form of abundance. You have your relationships, which are another dimension of abundance. You have financial resources, which are another dimension of abundance. You have the resources of time, which are another dimension of abundance. And as a multidimensional being, you have so many areas of your life: your joyful contribution, your highest mission, your career, you have your family, your friends. There's so many dimensions as well within even those dimensions of relationships, time, energy, and money, because you have many dimensions to all of those and your mission. And so you have personal relationships, you have professional relationships, you have family relationships, you have different spheres of relationships where it may be colleagues or those individuals that you don't know very well, yet there's still dimensions of your relationship temple, so to speak. So as we're speaking about multidimensional manifesting, there really is the recognition that for you to be deeply fulfilled in this incarnation and for your mission to be fully backed to really be doing and being and having what it is that you're here to create in this lifetime, it requires multi-dimensional resources. So when we just already tap into these first two things that I've shared, there's quite a lot of potential and perception shifts, paradigm shifts in what it is that has already been placed on the altar, because you go from manifesting one area of your life. And what often happens with that is like you say, okay, I'm going to call in more money and have more money in the bank. And you go all in on increasing your money, that dimension of money that often can, maybe you're doing it in outdated ways or using the forcing and struggling, and which do work. It's not that they don't work. And yet then the dimension of your energy or time with your loved ones goes down. So there's this like trade-off kind of when you go into manifesting. And one of the things that I really realized in my own life and in our clients' life is that a part of our system will just shut down receiving more if it's perceived with a big cost. So, in this episode, we're also going to be diving into, I'm so excited about our Magdalene Manifestation card deck and guidebook that is being published in 2023. And also more about the Magdalene codes. And so really, brings me into and you may have heard us talk about the Magdalene Codes of Love, also known as the Magdalene Wealth Codes. It's just one of our core programs. That the Magdalene Codes came in 2020. And that was when we had our first lockdown, and they had been starting to sprinkle in already in 2019, 2020. The Magdalenes had been kind of making visits in the 5 years before, like during channelings, but they kind of like came in, came out. And really in 2020, there was a lot of us that were kind of looking at deeper reprioritizing just everything that was happening during the lockdowns and all those kinds of things. And at the time, the Magdalenes just really came in strongly and started downloading this body of work, and there was this beautiful divine assignment. And so in November of 2020, 11/11/2020, we called in our first inaugural group for the Magdalene Codes of Love, also known as the Magdalene Wealth Codes, the core program. And at that time, and this relates to what is multidimensional manifesting and why unilateral manifesting like just will bump up to a ceiling at a certain point, is why multidimensional manifesting is so key. Because in my life, I showed up to the program and it was amazing. Like we put out the call and there were 32 beings that joined that first council, and the Magdalene Codes of Love, which are also being made available in the Magdalene card deck and in a different form, of course, than working directly with the guides and I. And yet the whole purpose of this body of work was to be receiving more without doing more, and to be leveraging the Magdalene energy, which is also Magdalene as in a title, being an adept, and working with the guides and the higher planes to assist our manifesting. And I showed up to that course like I was burnt out. I was tired. Like things were going so well in my business, and yet I was really tired. And I'm a stickler, like, for walking my talk and really embodying the higher principles that the guides bring in. And I knew that the Magdalenes were going to have like a ripple effect in my life and also in our clients' lives. And I just didn't realize to the extent that that would happen. And, it was really amazing at that time, since I'm diving into the story, a few years before that, I had had this vision. When we talk about like multidimensional manifesting, I had this vision of like being a multi-millionaire, having a seven-figure business, creating seven-figure offerings, and really working 3 days a week. And I had that vision. And yet when I showed up for this first Magdalene Codes program, I was tied into my business. I was like checking email 7 days a week. I was burnout, like things were going well, like money was great. And I was really so fulfilled and working with extraordinary, perfect match clients. And yet there was also just these times where like I noticed what it was costing in terms of not having the time to spend with my loved ones and resourcing and also just showing up from a place of overflow rather than a place of depletion. And then fast forward with that first round of Magdalene Codes in particular, what shifted was like I went down to 4 days a week and took back like 20% of my time, and then started spending that in other ways that was much more resourced. And then fast forward to today, where that original vision is now what I'm experiencing. And I'm sharing that because the key to me in what happened there was that I opened up to multidimensional manifesting. I opened up to also tapping into the Magdalene energy, which I'll talk more about what that is and how the card deck can help you do that if you choose to access it. And if you're feeling like, yes, I'm already ready, get me my card deck, you can access it at daniellehoffman.com/cards, daniellehoffman.com/cards. So the reason that I feel like the multidimensional vision that I had, because even in the vision, there were like, okay, it's a more multidimensional vision to be of great service, to assist more individuals, to have my mission be financially resourced, to have time as well to plan, to strategize in my business, to have the energy as well to create new bodies of work, to have time to spend with our horses and building relationships and learning French and all those kinds of things, hanging out with the guides, being in nature, hiking, all of those kinds of things. And in my experience, when I've been on a precipice of kind of taking a quantum leap, and I see this with our clients all the time, and you may experience this as well, that when there is that quantum leap that happens, when there is that, like, okay, things come into place and there's that ceiling that seems to be stopping things, is that the system goes something like, and this is what was running in my system, like, oh my goodness, already at the 7 days a week and the level of income that was there and the level of clients that we had and the level of service that was happening, like I'm already exhausted and burnout. So bringing in more is associated with a higher cost. And so then the system starts accidentally repelling what it is that you actually desire. And so this multidimensional abundance, this multidimensional manifesting, it really honors all areas of you and all areas of your life and all areas of your system. And then as you're manifesting in simultaneity, nothing gets left behind. Because sometimes, and I remember in one of the first manifesting courses that I brought in with Source in like 2005, before The Secret came out, there was this kind of like recognizing of not just having the outcome that you're choosing to create, yet also how is it going to feel in the process. And that was also something that I had forgotten, that I had seen a lot of our clients forget, is that yes, there's the target. Maybe you're choosing to call in your the one, call in a romantic partnership, or get your dream job, or have an increase in finances, and whatever your manifesting targets are. If you don't remember to say, well, how is it going to feel in the process, then it can lead to a lot of overwork and struggle and striving, and then also burnout, or having a high cost that you just don't want to pay. And then I've seen this so many times where a lot of individuals, just when you're trying to manifest and it's not working, what you may think to do is to say, okay, well, I'll just settle for less, or it must not be meant to be. And you're a creator being. And of course, you're creating the resources that are aligned for you, that are a part of your mission. And at the same time, that kind of learned helplessness stops us from really moving forward and desiring and going for, like shooting for the stars, and you catch the moon. That also contracts the energies. So that's kind of my story about the Magdalene codes and working with the codes, and how that really created some palpable, tangible shifts that then allowed in even greater abundance. So I want to talk about what is the Magdalene energy. And you may be familiar with Mary Magdalene, and also the Magdalenes in terms of Mother Mary. And there's different recordings that I've made over the years. And of course, in the card deck, the Magdalenes introduce themselves as well, about the Magdalenes not only being feminine, yet also having like Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, Isis and Osiris, Sekhmet and Ptah, and that integrated sacred union of the feminine and the masculine energies. So Magdalene is also a title, is also like how we have a title like a doctor, or a teacher, or a gardener, or you may have a title of like different titles. That Magdalene is a title that means an adept with energy. And this is also one of the pro tips, like one of the most overlooked energies that you actually have in your corner, which is to be tapping into being an energy adept and partnering with the Magdalenes. And there's also a recognition of, as part of tapping into the Magdalene energy, and the subtitle for this manifestation card deck, like an oracle deck, get used for manifestation, is create abundance through love. And the Magdalenes are ambassadors for love. They're a part of a love lineage. And when you tap into the Magdalene energy and creating from love, then you're already starting from a different vibration than creating from the old paradigm of lack, or separation, or fear, or doubt, or survival. So there's a lot more that I can say and do say in the card deck, and of course in our Magdalene Wealth Codes program, about the Magdalene energy. And yet that gives you kind of introduction, a broader, kind of a broad stroke of tapping into the Magdalene energy, which is simultaneously tapping into your heart, tapping into you being a multidimensional being, and also really be calling upon the guides to assist you in your manifesting process, and that you're utilizing love and your multidimensionality to create multidimensional abundance. And the 44 cards, the 24 Magdalene codes that are a part of the card deck, and the Magdalene codes, our core program, they really support you in creating multidimensional abundance. And the art for them was created by Christine Lucas, who has also been partnering with us in Divine Transmissions over the years, and just really did an amazing job of translating the codes of love into sacred geometry and utilizing a lot of color. Because when we look at multidimensional manifesting, color is also a creative energy. It's also, if you're holding something in your hands, whether you have money in the bank or money in your hands, it has a color. When something crosses from inspiration into form, as it's actualized, it has a color, whether that color is on the spectrum from black to the colors of the chakras, to even what seems like a non-color. It still has color. So, and color really also works beyond the intellect, the mind. Like, again, yes, your mind has a seat on your manifesting council. You're going to use your big, beautiful brain to be creating. And yet Magdalene, tapping into Magdalene energy, it's tapping into the non-physical. It's tapping into your birthrights. And so the codes really assist on so many ways. And one of the things that is really different about this card deck than any other card decks that I've seen, and also very different about like working with the guides and I, is that you create energy vortexes using the cards that then provide an energetic vessel for your energetic idea, which it starts in the non-physical plane, to have a home, to have a transducer, an energetic alignment to be coming into physical form. Because any idea you have is moving at a higher frequency than when it takes form, which is a slower frequency, not a lower, but a slower frequency. So the idea of having ample time, or the idea of creating a beautiful home, is moving at a higher vibration than when you're in your beautiful home. And so using the cards to like set the energy for the day, to create an energy vortex where you have a desire that you're choosing to create, and you do an altar with the cards that creates an energy vortex. Like maybe you're familiar with calling in the directions, or opening an energy container, or calling in the guides. Like they're or feng shui, or like consciously creating an energetic vortex or home, really assists what the Magdalenes call your love conceptions, which are the what you're choosing to bring into form. So there's other stories that I can share about the folks that have taken the Magdalene Wealth Codes, the Magdalene Codes of Love, our core program, and working directly with the guides and I've shared my story and how it's been incredibly transformational. And I didn't share more. There's more in there of how I've hiked the Camino during that time. I had more time to spend with my beloved, and also like spending more extended time with my family in the States, and just so much beauty that I've expanded the Divine Transmissions team, and just so many things. And our Magdalene Codes program folks have also created incredible results on the yummy money scale of things. We had one client who called in $400,000. We play a game of like adding 2K, 20K, 200K, depending on where somebody's starting and beyond. And this Magdalene Codes client called in $400,000 in a 2-month period from investments. We had another Magdalene Codes client during the Magdalene Codes program who got like an unexpected $7,000 tax refund. We had another one who, when we were working with Yummy Money, the same day, the same night, received an inheritance of like multi-millions. We had another client who, and it really depends on, again, like what the mission requires, what's aligned for the individual to be creating in that multidimensional ways. And I'm sharing those, like those are money manifestations, and those are easy to concretize and to quantify, to see. And then other Magdalenes, really their jam, what their deepest desires were, to have more energy and to heal from chronic pain and chronic fatigue, and just that low energy, like kind of waking up and not really wanting to get out of bed, or that feeling of just getting through the day. And so I'm thinking of one of our beautiful clients who really shifted that, and rather than kind of resisting or feeling like, am I going to have enough energy to get through the day, she really was engaged and increased her vitality and her radiant health. We had other clients with the Magdalene Codes who were sharing their mission in terms of a transformational business, and had like a lot of times whenever they'd offer a program, it would fill like 60 to 80% to then selling out their programs, and also really sharing their mission in a larger level. And so the results that those that join us for the Magdalene program is just incredible. And when the Magdalene Codes came in, the guides were really clear with me that this was like for tens of thousands of individuals, not only the intimate counsels that we work with in our core programs. And so why I'm choosing to make them widely accessible now in the $30 card deck, where you're getting like this incredible program, not the program yet, this incredible access to the Magdalene cards, which is usually only available in the program at a higher investment, and also working more in depth with us over time. So there's a higher commitment of time and energy and money, and then the card deck. And yet I'm so passionate, and the guides are so passionate of like this body of work and these Magdalene energies and the whole multi-abundance way of creating abundance just needs to be accessible on a larger scale. And I'm so excited that this is available for you to also have a direct relationship, to be working with the cards, to have that visual aspect. And especially now that where we are in the elevation of consciousness, that it's so key that even more of us have our missions resourced, have overflowing energy and time and aligned relationships and finances and the multitude abundance, so that we're leading the evolution and consciousness together. And you may not consider yourself a leader of the evolution and consciousness, or of the new paradigm, or the new earth, or the great awakening, or the Aquarian age, or ascension, or whatever you want to call it, because your leadership may look different than it does for me, like having my business and being an author and working with clients, and having been leading the evolution and consciousness for some decades, from survival and duality into unity, into a whole new paradigm of creating from love, creating from co-creation, from joy. And you may not consider yourself a leader in the elevation and consciousness because it looks different for you. Maybe you're retired. Maybe you're like jamming on being a grandma. Maybe you're in more of a mainstream job where you work in the government or at a school, or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom. Whatever it is, if you're here, you know that evolving your own consciousness is one of the greatest ways that you make a difference on the planet. And there is this incredible transfer of wealth into the spiritual community. I really have been seeing that, believing that the old paradigm of the healer being not having resources, not having money, not having energy is really outdated. We all are being called to rise up into greater vibrational leadership and modeling what is possible. And so that's also why I am sharing what I've created, not from a place of like, oh, look at me, how amazing I am, yet from a place like, if I've done it, you can do it. If I've gone from not knowing how I was going to pay my bills, or times of being absolutely burnt out, or not having the support. Like I remember when I hired my first team member, like I was in such a growth spurt, and yet I was doing it all, wearing all the hats, and I didn't really necessarily have the financial abundance to hire someone. And I had an earth angel, a dear friend, if you're listening to this, who like gifted me $2,000 in cash. I still remembered. I was like, oh my gosh, $2,000 in cash. It was just like incredible to like hire somebody to support. And all of our missions need support. And so I know that the Magdalene cards are just gonna make such a difference on so many levels, not only the tangible manifestation, yet also the internal shifts that happen, the self-love that happens, the greater joy that happens, that which we may feel is intangible, like having greater confidence is kind of an intangible or an internal experience. It can also be seen. You can see when you have more confidence, and when you're willing to be visible and to break through those fears of being seen. So as you can tell, super excited about the Magdalene codes. Really, my vision is that for those of you that it's aligned to pick up the card deck, if you've listened this long, probably is a yes for you. You can go to daniellehoffman.com/cards to get access to the card deck. And we've also got some juicy bonuses available when you get the card deck. Yet my vision is really that you have this tool, the missing link, to be using love, to be creating energy altars, to hold the support of what you're bringing on the physical plane, and also to be working with energy adeptness, the Magdalenes, in addition to your aligned action, because it does take both to really be creating multi abundance through love. So we're going to be talking more about the Magdalene Manifestation Cards and the Magdalene Wealth Codes program, and and more will be coming. So if you're feeling called to deepen in, I invite you to grab the card deck, and it's available anywhere where books are sold, or most places where books are sold. And then also make sure that you follow the podcast, that you join our list. You can go to daniellehoffman.com to sign up for our newsletter so that you're in the know, that you're one of the first to be hearing about these tools and benefits from the Magdalenes, because I'm always committed and dedicated to be sharing what has been working with me and for our clients in, of course, a variety of ways, and love to not only just have the podcast or a newsletter be about like whatever is happening, yet also really is deeply transformational. And I know that in this episode, I've really laid down at least 3 very transformational pro tips and tools that when you start manifesting multidimensionally, that really assists you tapping into the Magdalene energy, as well as really creating from the energy of love. Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in, and see you in the Magdalene codes. Bye for now.